We had a good old-fashioned tornado tag team match in the podcast world this week as FTR, Dax and Cash got into it with Eric Bischoff and his tag team partner Conrad Thompson over on the 83 Weeks team. Both sides got into a little bit of a war over the podcast this week in a battle of how low can we go against each other. First, starting with an interview that FTR did. Check out this clip.
I don't think Tony Khan gets the credit that he deserves because he afforded a lot of people a lot of jobs and a lot of income. I mean, even if you look outside of AEW, you got all these old-time miserable podcasters like Eric Bischoff and, some of the others who make a living just by going on their podcasts and burying Tony in AEW when they know that AEW is a place where business is thriving, where AEW is a place that is helping change professional wrestling for the positive. So not only did Tony give us and everybody, hundreds of other people a living, he's afforded a living to some people who otherwise would be sitting miserable, bankrupt in their house.
I think he's really mad that Tony wouldn't give him a job the few times he was there to collect the paycheck.
Yeah.
I've heard that before about
Here comes bankruptcy number 4.
There's a couple of podcasters out there that bury AEW that would love a job with Tony. There's one or two that wouldn't, but I know there's quite a few that glowingly talked about AEW initially, and when Tony didn't give them a job, now all of a sudden they're talking crap about it. That don't make sense to me.
That was courtesy of an interview by a man named Jeff Snyder, who I'm not entirely sure of his affiliation. His YouTube channel is rather small. Mine's nothing to shake a stick at, but this makes me wonder, do I need to start getting in the interview game? I'll interview Dax Harwood. We'll have a conversation with Uncle Dax. That'll be fun. But Dax and Cash did not hold back about their feelings about Eric Bischoff in particular. And of all the people that talk shit about AEW on the internet and in the podcast world, Jim Cornette specifically, even more than Bischoff. Bischoff's right up there, though. He's definitely one of the top AEW bashers. He jumped right in there and got in the line of fire and took his shot at Bischoff. And of course, we all know Eric Bischoff is not one to bite his tongue. He's always happy to clap back and have a response. But what surprised me here in this next clip is that Conrad Thompson actually took personal offense to those comments, specifically in the bankruptcy comments. Check out this clip.
Yeah, that just feels mean-spirited. It feels like a personal shot. I did not like that comment at all.
Well, I get it, because what else is Dax going to do if he doesn't have a gig in AEW? Now, as far as me being old and bitter and relying upon my commentary here on 83 Weeks to stay out of bankruptcy, and presumably that's the reason why, Dax is so offended by something that I said or responded to Tony Khan on social media. But a little over a year ago, Dax is putting it over. He loved it. So Dax posts on January 15th of the last year, less than a year ago, very short notice, but we're going to record FTR with Dax Harwood in about an hour starting now. We're going to do a non-wrestling question of the week. And I responded in support because I'm that way. And Dax responded less than a year ago. Thank you, Eric. Big fan of 83 Weeks. Weekly download on my phone. But now all of a sudden, when I'm doing the same thing that I've been doing for the last 2 years, he's so offended by it that he talks about me going into bankruptcy if it were not for the silliness that's going on in TNA, or excuse me, in AEW, and my ability to have fun with it on social media. I ended up filing a Chapter 11 bankruptcy back in 2017. I've talked on this show at length about the reasons that led up to it that I talked about in the book. So it's not a shot at me.
It is a shot.
Like I said, it's in the book, right?
You weren't hiding it, but I mean, he made it personal in my view when he said that. And I thought, man, I got to throw the flag on that. And to be clear, this podcast was hugely successful financially before AEW was even a thing. Did you listen to Dax's podcast?
I listened to clips of it. I didn't sit down and listen to a whole show.
He's not doing that podcast anymore.
Yeah, well, we wanted to go into that. Why is that? I was going to call Matt Kuhn and get his side of the story, but I just wasn't in the mood to chat yesterday. So,
well, there's the version that, I mean, they made a statement. There you see the report from Fightful, where he says there was no pressure from AEW or Tony Khan to shut down the podcast.
Not what I heard.
All righty.
And not what I heard. And I want Cash to know, I didn't have a gun to my head. Oh, sorry, Cash.
Oh, come on now.
No, there was no gun to my head, Cash. Pun intended. But again, Cash is in kind of the same. Maybe he's in a worse situation than Dax, because literally he's facing felony weapons charges and assault.
Oh gosh, come on.
Well, is he or isn't he? We're just doing facts here. There's no innuendo. There's no rumor going on here. These are just facts.
Who wins with this conversation? I mean, I know he's referencing.
Who wins with any of this conversation? But it's about the context.
This one jumped out to me. Now, the Eric Bischoff gets into these kind of messes all the time. So you really got to pick and choose, especially because Bischoff will talk for a half hour and say 10 minutes worth of shit. You know what I mean? So it's very difficult. You know, you got to pick and choose what battles you want to jump into with Eric Bischoff on this show, covering clips from him and such. But it's rare that Conrad ever has a bias opinion in something like this, or really kind of jumps in and says, you know, that one actually offended me. Yeah, Conrad's a good old boy. He tries to get along with everybody, and it made me look at it like, yeah, that was a little bit too far to kind of, especially Cash, you know. Dax kind of threw it out there as a light little jab, but Cash really kind of said it very mean, as Conrad had pointed out there. And then Bischoff, in true Bischoff form, comes back with the, look, I didn't have a to my head. Mic drop. It's funny, but it's low. It's a low blow. Both of them are low blows. Eric Bischoff had a real life bankruptcy. He's written about it. He's talked about it. He doesn't hide it. He's open about it. But I'm sure it doesn't make him feel good inside. It's a cheap shot. It's like somebody going through a public divorce or something, being like, oh, you can't hold your marriage together. Wow, dude. Like, a bankruptcy is like, I mean, that's a hard thing, right? Like, Bischoff's probably sensitive about it, but like I said, he doesn't hide it. He's open about it. He addresses it, but it is a shitty place to go. Take a shot at your show. Take a shot at the shit that he did in WCW. Take a shot at, oh, he's washed up now. Blah, 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 blah. Even he's just mad he doesn't have a job in AEW. You know, everybody busts that one out. All of that should be fair game, but to go into his personal life and be like, oh, you know, your kid's penis is small and your fucking, you know, your high school girlfriend dumped you for the football player. And it's like, bro, stop. Relax. A bankruptcy is a low blow. Dax has always gotten himself into trouble. That was one other thing that came out here in these clips. I think it made the cut there. Where Eric and Conrad kind of hinting towards rumor and innuendo, insinuating that Dax's podcast had to end because Tony Khan didn't want it on anymore. Tony Khan told them to shut the fuck up. So that's news to me. I don't believe I've heard that, or at least haven't heard it confirmed in any serious way from any serious people. But that's, oof. You know what I mean? This got a little bit heated here. A lot of shots getting flung back and forth. FTR, they're never shy to speak their mind and to get in the mix, but it does get them in trouble from time to time. And honestly, I got to give it to Bischoff and Conrad on this one, and here's why. I love FTR. FTR is my favorite tag team. They're the greatest tag team in the whole wide world. They'll out wrestle the Usos. They'll out wrestle fucking DIY like they did in the past. They're the best. They're the best. But they also got big mouths from time to time, and that's fine. But it does get them in trouble, and I think the Bankruptcy was a step too far, and especially the mean tone. It wasn't just like it was mean. It was a stick and a twist. You know what I'm saying? It was really meant to kick him in the balls while he's down, and I thought that is a step too far. So thus, Eric Bischoff, certainly not one to take the high road. And Conrad tried to. Conrad was very, look, man, that was inappropriate, and blah, blah, blah. I really like FTR. And Bischoff played that game for a little bit, and then he busted out the thing to the head of a jig. Not going to say it because of YouTube. I don't know what the hell's going on in those algorithms nowadays. But we monetize now, so we got to watch our P's and Q's. But the thing with Cash and the getting in trouble and stuff, Bischoff, man, what a dunk. Fucking mic drop. You know what I'm saying? It was low. It was very low. And even Conrad was like, oh, come on. Bischoff will go lower. He's not scared to. You want to play that game? Let's go. Bischoff astutely pointed out he doesn't really ever start these beefs, but he's not afraid to partake in them. I don't know, man. I'm always caught in the mix between this is fun to talk about, especially on my show, and these guys need to chill the fuck out and lighten up and stop taking everything so seriously. I think Dax takes things way too seriously. I think that's been said here on this show before, because I used to love his show, and I used to cover it a lot. And it was because he always had a big mouth and he always said shit. And there was always news being broke. I covered his at least every other week, if not every week. There was something coming out of that show. And that's why we don't have a Dax Harwood show anymore. But he's not afraid to get in the mix either. But sometimes the drama's a bit much. He takes things a little bit too seriously. And I think everybody takes things way too seriously out in internet land right now. And there's no need to take those low blows. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to come at somebody for what they're doing, like me, you're going to jump in the comments and make fun of my show. Your background's stupid. Your voice sucks. You're a shitty, all your news, your talking points, whatever the fuck. You know what I'm saying? Bash me and what I'm doing all I want. But if you're like, your baby mama's whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? It's like, whoa. It's funny. Quick sidebar here. I've been falling into a huge rabbit hole of Tupac and Biggie lately, and kind of just catching up on all of the latest on that since the Keefe D arrest and all of that. And one of the things that I learned was that Tupac and Suge made it, that was like their fun little thing that they would do, is they would go and like fuck the baby mamas and stuff. Like, I knew Tupac allegedly fucked Biggie's wife, Faith Evans at the time they were married. But that was actually Tupac's idea, and he told Suge went and fucked P. Diddy's baby mama and like took pictures like with his kids and shit. That's cold. That's fucking cold. That's so fucking brutal. I think 50 Cent did that too. He took somebody's wife and kids shopping. I think it was 50 Cent that did that. Man, that kind of shit's so ruthless. It's funny. I'm laughing. But it's a step too far, Take your shots at the rapper and his flows and his lyrics, and he's a bitch, and you never really held a piece and all that, your fake studio, all that stuff. When you get into the baby mamas and the kids and stuff, it's like, whoa. And I think bankruptcy, a personal bankruptcy where somebody's about to lose their house, to bring that in and go, LOL, haha, you almost fucking bankrupt, you fucker. You're such a loser. You were almost bankrupt. That's, I don't know. It's a step too far, but what the fuck do I know? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I thought this was especially unique because Conrad got offended by it. Let me know everything. Do you think, are you team FTR in this tag team tornado match? Or are you team Conrad and Eric Bischoff? You think they're both dumbasses? You think they both have good points? Let me know all of it down in the comments below. And, yeah, that's it. Fuck off.
Let me tell you something, brother. You can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on this channel, dude. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to take your vitamins and say your prayers, brother.